Yo, what's good, everybody? It's Dave Mason here, and this is my Sneaker Talk Sunday. Today, I have a very cool guest. He's one of my favorite follows on IG, the one and only Ricky Shoebio, aka SpaceCampFresh. Thank you for joining, my dude. I really appreciate it, man.
Dave, it's nothing, man. Thank you for having me, bro. Like, super appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. All right, Ricky. So, let's get straight into it. What do you do? What in the sneaker industry is your job, or yeah, what do you do?
So, as far as me, I am currently a photographer, creative director, and I help consult on a lot of marketing and things like that. With brands will tap me in to help do campaign work, whether it's behind the camera or in front of the camera. And other than that, like you'll catch me hosting a few things. So few series here and there, a few different segments here and there, or what is it? Panels, any of that type of stuff, any events. Like, we're down on events right now, so it's not so much of that. So really
Right.
right now, a lot of me crafting and creating and doing campaign work and all that stuff. So a lot of the dope stuff.
What about photog? How have you always been into photography? What drew you to photography, especially like in sneakers and all that?
So it's kind of ironic because like even coming up, I wanted to do like marketing and all that stuff before I said,
Hmm.
I'm talking like young, like in high school. I was like, yo, I would love to be a guy that helps come up with like ads and billboards and all that stuff and campaigns and all that. And they was like, oh, you got to go to school for business. Did that for a brief second, and that wasn't it. Like that I wanted to be creative, and I expressed that. So I ended up doing some other things, and it ended up slipping back into this world because a buddy of mine had worked for a publication. He was over at Huffington Post and brought me over to help him with some pieces, and then started his own publication from there. And then really was focused on high end fashion. So I initially, a lot of people that don't know me don't know Ricky Shoebio. I was out here initially doing couture and high end fashion stuff.
Damn, that's cool.
So I was doing a lot of. That's how I built a lot of different connections in, and for that media outlet for that magazine, they wanted to transition, and the big thing was going from couture because couture was dying out from the print side,
Hmm.
and it isn't always so relatable to be honest. But it's cool. It's got its spaces. And then he wanted to transition that into a full lifestyle and entertainment publication. So that's when I started to write a lot of the pieces on sneakers, fashion, different tech stuff, car stuff, like all that different
Yeah.
stuff, all entertainment stuff. As far as the sneakers aspect, like I grew up playing ball my whole life, so like I wanted sneakers and loved sneakers since I was a kid. So the fact
Okay.
that I was there and say, well, I can take one of my personal interests and make that something that I can showcase throughout whatever publication and all that stuff. That's how I got here, like photography wise. So it was always being into visuals in the
Yeah.
past, and the sneakers was just my personal thing.
Yep.
That when I was with that publication, which was a few years back, now that's one of the things I specialized in because it was such an industry that was taken off to the mainstream to a lot of people at that point in time. So like, and now we're here, like and now
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
buying sneakers and they're impossible to get and all that stuff. So like, that's how that happened, man.
That's dope, man. That's actually hella cool starting. I think everyone when they get to like a part of their journey, it's never a traditional start. It's not like, oh yeah, like I got this job, this job doing working at Complex off the rip. It's like you got to work to get to certain levels, especially you like being a freelance worker and like having that job is really allows you to be able to create, right?
Nah, definitely. I mean, what happened for me when I left the publication, the option was really to like, yo, you can sit there and go work for somebody else, another publication. What do you really want to do? And a few of my guys, we sat back and created Kid, man. We made Know Your Dope and just put together a collective to say like, we don't want to be uh, a content agency or anything like. Well, we're a content creative, but we don't want to sit there and compete and put ourselves in the same spaces like ad agencies because we're not that
Yeah.
side, not that volume, and not trying to do a lot of the same things. But we help with a lot of rebranding. We help with a lot of digital marketing. We help with a lot of social media management, how people want to bring their looks and bring things to life, whether it's product or brand or anything like that. So that's where we specialize.
And can you speak on, so this is something you created, right? Like know you're dope, like that's the hashtag you use. And I was
Yep.
checking out your website earlier. Can you speak on some of the things that you've done in the creative space using your brand?
Yeah, so with us, like, some of the biggest things initially is a lot of the brands we worked with. So the blessing part for me was that a lot of the brands that I was working with when I was with the publications, because I also handled the brand management aspect of it. So I was out there expanding a lot of our reach, and at least on the publication side, I was reaching out and interacting with a lot of different people. They wanted to continue that relationship. So they were like, yo, when you land on your feet and whatever you do, we'll support you, and we can try to figure something out. So, like, it's been a lot of opportunities to work on a lot of different things between, like, every brand in the realm that we love that you could pretty much think of. So whether it be Champion, Converse, Jordan, Adidas, Reebok, Reebok specifically, I know a lot of people see me doing a lot of Reebok stuff is because they show so much love consistently. Same thing with Foot Inc. So everything under the Foot Inc. umbrella of Foot Locker, Foot Action, Champs, East Bay, they also show consistent love all the time. Same thing with a lot of brands. Like Nike shows that love. Shows that love. Ewing brand, who I have a great relationship with, making a major comeback again. I think, so they had that push when they came back and made that resurgence the first time, and then slowed down a little bit, but they stayed consistent. And I think what they're doing now, what they got coming up, like especially the AZ joint, that is going to be crazy. But yeah,
can you speak on your oh, my bad. Can you speak on your relationship with Reebok? Because you've done a lot of stuff with Reebok, and I see a lot of these, brands that were really popular back in like the 90s or early 2000s are making like a crazy resurgence. And I'm so stoked to see Reebok really getting after it now, putting out questions and putting out dope stuff. So if you could speak on your relationship with them, that'd be like super sick.
Oh yeah, like my relationship with Reebok, it actually started years back with an ad agency. So going through an agency and all that stuff, because Reebok will use agencies and different things. All brands do for different things, because it's hard to have a footprint and be everywhere at every moment. So they'll make sure they properly do it. Well, I say, like, listen, if we got an activation or an event or something that's a campaign that we can't put our team directly on, maybe, listen, let's go through this and let them handle the lift on that. So, like, Reebok started some years back, and it came through, who was it? Shadow. Is it Shadow? Possibly Shadow. It may have been Shadow who it came from. But with them, the biggest thing was like, all right, we'll send you out like kits, the seating kits and all that stuff, so you guys can make sure you can get your own shots and write up your own pieces on the upcoming releases. From there, like, I got direct relationships with the reps and different contacts. And I don't like to say reps. Let me say that better. Different contacts at Reebok directly. So whether that was me being in certain places at certain events and getting handoffs and all that stuff and just meeting people like, oh, this was the guy that worked on something else for you guys. This guy was a part of this. He was a part of that. He did this. So that was one of the big things that established my relationship with them. And honestly, I've been blessed enough and been lucky enough to say, honestly, like, most of the relationships, if not every relationship I have, and this is one thing, like, one gem I always try to give to people. We're always taught, like, business is business and all that stuff. But people don't, in 2020, with everything that's going on, brands included, people don't want to work with people they can just do business with. Like, that's not how they're feeling. Like, people really want to have relationships and feel genuine about who they're working with. So from what I've been told, like, it's always being a good, genuine dude has allowed me to be able to be called on. Like, I'm told I'm reliable. I'm told I'm easy to work with. I'm not a diva in any of those aspects in any sense. So it's really made a lot of people want to continue to work with me. And one of those big things when people say, like, your name is in rooms before you're even in it. And that's that. I've seen that to be so true. It's like, yo, you never know who's talking about you. Just make sure they're talking about you in a positive way.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I mean, your reputation is everything these days. I mean, if without your reputation, that's your brand, your rep, people want to talk about building a personal brand. It's really just your reputation, and people can take it, and it's so valuable in today's world, especially in the creative space. Your reputation is everything. Let's see. Let's go more into your creative side. I know you do a lot of stuff with hats. I see with the fitted Diamondback on right now. How many hats do you have in your collection, and what is it about like fitted hats and like different flavors that like hits home the most?
So I'm probably sitting a little over 100 hats. Like, one just came in today. do a little deliveries a little later. But for me, it's kind of interesting because like I grew up in the hats and all that stuff, but fell back. Well, one, there was a weird period with fitteds. Like, fitteds tapered off for a little while. Hats tapered off for a little while. There was a lot of, as some people would put it, and if I'm just being transparent, some stuff that was just coming out that wasn't like fly. Like everything's about style.
100.
Let's keep it all in style. So there was a period where that dropped off, and for me, growing my hair out, I thought I couldn't fit fitteds anymore. So like I stopped wearing them. Like I tossed all the ones I had and all that stuff, and then it wasn't until like close to the end of last year where a few people started talking to me like, yo, go check out some hats. And I was like, they back? And it was like, nah, hats is coming back. We'll put you on. Because I knew about Hat Club, knew about a bunch of different places, but some people was like, yo, look into them because it's about to make a different type of push. And right now, with everything with, quarantine and all that stuff, where everybody's just spending money however they can, hats are expensive now. Like, it's as to get certain hats as it is to get sneakers. If not harder in certain it's a more limited. Yeah. And for me, it's an accent piece. So, I got a watch on right now that goes with my pants, that'll go with my kicks, that'll go with the graphic that I got on with the piece that'll match with the hat. So for me, it's all accents. Like, I don't, I'm not always crazy on, jewelry and certain things like that. And, for men, other than saying like we can layer up and all that stuff, but, I'm not always going to have on a bag. I'm not the crazy messenger bag, tote bag type dude or something like that that's going to accent my outfit. Like, if I want to make something pop, it's definitely going to be a hat. It's going to be something on my wrist. It's definitely going to be, small little details with what I'm wearing. And I think this is one of those, like, they call it a crown. So I think that's how you got to top it off, man.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, there's nothing more fresh than a fitted. I mean, personally, when I was in high school, which was 2014, and before a little bit before, 2010 and 2014, I was all fitted, right? And then around my sophomore, junior year, I would say snapbacks became a lot more popular, a lot more common. And the only thing I wish with fitted was that they were a little lighter. I feel like they're heavy, which is like the good and the bad side. It's like good quality. I've been really liking vintage hats. If you can find a clean vintage snap, for me, that's been my personal favorite cop right now. I just copped this one off of my homie from up in Portland. And so like, they're just hella comfortable. But I'm not joking when I say this, like you make me want to get back into fitted hats, especially like your relationship with Hat Club. They put out, in my opinion, they're putting out the best hats there are.
Oh, hands down. Like, they have an amazing relationship with New Era, who are really trying to do a lot of things and to push forward and come up with concepts, and a mid team on it from like top to bottom. Like, they're sitting there talking about like, the social media management team, the marketing team, the creative teams, all the team, like even people working in like, shipping and handling all that. Like, it's a very tight unit, and in their retail spaces too. It's a very tight unit with a very solid business model, and it's showing out. Like, you see a lot of people looking to replicate what they're doing, whether it's how they release, or what they release, or what they're creating in concepts, and with that, some of it is good, to be honest, like, because at the same time, it keeps Hat Club hungry, because some people do some good things out there, and all that does is make it better for the consumer, because now it's like, all right, a little healthy competition, a little fun with it,
Yes, sir.
But I think everybody has things, and like you said, like Hat Club is hands down dominating and leading the way with it.
Absolutely. I like that. Okay, let's go back to sneakers. So in the sneaker industry right now, what excites you the most? I know there's a lot of people like always like to focus on the negative with like how hard it is to cop, the over expensive resale price, all these things. But what makes you excited about the sneaker industry of like with it moving forward?
So I'll probably say the thing that's I've been excited about the most would be like, I'm like, from my era or my time, like boutique collabs are still like
Mm.
Here for me. So like we're talking about today, or just recently, this past Friday, what the I made Leon Dory New Balances drop. So
Yes.
and they took a model that a lot of people are not looking at, like, or wouldn't check for in the same way. So when you get like, Bodega, Extra Butter, Kith is on the higher side of the hype side of it,
Yes.
that way, but they got that attention. You get Concepts. Anytime Concepts drop something, it's crazy.
Urban
If
Necessity they got that dunk. That was super crazy.
super limited, super crazy, feature, bait. Like whenever you're seeing the shops that have like literally made it so. We talk about last year and even going back, like the Amanier, the forces, like those was
Yes.
crazy. Like, so like
Crazy.
um, it's all love to see that happen. That's what I'm always excited about. It's a
That's
little bit
dope.
limited run. Sometimes it's a little bit more complicated to get, and that's not me knocking when Trav puts out a collab, but there's more storytelling half the time. Like, if we ain't saying OVO, if we ain't saying Off-White, if we ain't saying Trav, if we're not saying, Yeezys and all that stuff, I like that aspect on the smaller side where we're getting super thought about crazy releases. The other part is I'm really starting to feel in the last year, I'm really enjoying new innovation and new tech.
Cool.
So, Nike with the ISPAs, the ISPAs, and where they're going with that, like that was a big direction. I love New Balance's push, and not to say it's a new shoe, but I love New Balance's push with the 992 this year, with them just saying like, yo, let's make this a resurgence and focus on that. Reebok on the side with how they just did it with Pleasures, and even so campaign was a part of, but the Classic Leather Legacy, which was an updated take on the classic leather, and then the new sole and spin and a little cut on it. Like I'm just feeling like the new direction. Because listen, we're gonna get re-releases and we're gonna get retros
All
forever.
the time.
Like,
yeah, always.
so like, when we get new shoes and updated shoes, even on the Yeezy side, like, a couple of pairs of the 380s are really standing out to me right now. And
Yeah.
what is it? The Quantums, and I got Quantums. I love Quantums.
Okay.
So I like where new tech is going with sneakers. Like I like the direction it's in. What I think would be interesting is going to be how it pushes fashion, because if you're saying, all right, we're going to start to tap back into futuristic looking shoes, kind of how you had in the 90s. So in the 90s you had like the chunky bulky shoe era from the coming from the 80s into the mid 90s, and then towards the late 90s and in the early 2000s you had these super circular and bubble-esque looking shoes from a lot of brands where that's how they went with designs. You see the same thing in cars, like cars going from round to square to round to square and different models and all that stuff. I wonder so fashion is looking on more of a retro sense. You spoke to like vintage stuff. Like even so now I got on oversized pants in the crew right now. Like I look at that and say, all right, how are we going to blend that? Like how does this wave blend that with futuristic tech on sneakers? And I think
that's the thing for me. Like, so I see all this innovation in the sneaker, but at the same time, as far as I see fashion, it's still like this like vintage vibe. I mean, especially me, I'm literally like operating under like selling vintage like all the time, like whoopty whoop. And like the other day, I was literally like picking out a fit, and I was head to toe vintage, and then I grabbed some Fear of God. They have like the strap. I'm blanking on the name. Huh?
The Fear of God raids?
Raids, yep. And so I'm like, so this is that's like more of like a futuristic shoe to me. Like it's like comfortable, futuristic, but yet the whole vibe is like vintage. And I'm like, does this like go together? Or how does this like fit? I literally I switched out my shoes and threw on some ones just to keep that vintage vibe going. But I'm excited to see where the innovation in fashion almost like matches up with sneakers, because I really do feel like sneakers is leading the way in fashion. I feel like
definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, not definitely. Like I mean, even looking at it with like and not to continue to speak on Reebok because like love them and love everything they're doing.
Yeah, let's run it. I love Reebok.
Even with them going with like Kirby, Kibito getting the creative director role there and everything that he's been doing with Pierre Moss. So like Pierre Moss, super futuristic style, and he's blending all of it very well. I mean, if you're gonna say like day-to-day style, I think the biggest thing what I've been doing, what I've been searching for is without them being cheap, I think the next wave, if you're saying bigger pants with futuristic style, is gonna be like tech cargo pants. So like if the great aspects of cargo pants, but a lot of the new tech aspects of it with the newer pants. And you're starting to see people do it, but until it's done consistently and right, it won't take as a thing. But I think that's the perfect pant for a lot of shoes because it gives you a lot of that old feel with an updated look on it. So I think that's a big thing. I'm like me being from like, New York, New Jersey, like that whole area, I'm a big fall season guy and like, long sleeves and layers. So all that I'm looking into to see how that's going to play out because, certain things are certain things. But I think things are in good hands with a lot of stuff. I think if we can get, and if and when, we get back to moving in a certain way in the world, I think a lot of the time that a lot of people, whether it's independent brands, whether it's individuals that have been just sitting, stewing and cooking, like the creatives, are going to bust out. And I think that's definitely going to happen in fashion. I think it's definitely going to happen with a lot of, it's going to, I think a lot of people are sitting on designs and things and because they had time. They had time this year. If you didn't get your shit together this year, it's bad. You got to change the pause. Like, that's what.
With 2020, I mean, I think this is a year of reflection. This is a time to really look yourself in the mirror, look at what who you spend your time with, how you're spending your time, and really understand how you're going to move forward. Because I really think like the world is going to be changed. Like we are going to get back to where like we're going to be able to get in larger groups and things are going to be able to get active and people are going to be able to travel and move around and connect. And that's really going to take off. I'm really serious. Like when I say like this time has been so important to reflect on who you are and who you're with. I think it's going to just like completely take off in all aspects of creative. I think people are going to admit you know what I mean? Let's say you could rock, like, if you go ahead.
I was just going to say like, a lot of people this year, I think the eye opener was with a lot of people doing a lot of different jobs and unfortunately a lot of people that lost work. It's going to make a lot of people pursue what they're passionate about. Like, just say, fuck it, I'm going to do what I love, and do what makes me happy. I think that's the biggest thing. Well, not the biggest thing. I think it's one of the biggest things that we're going to get out of this time. Like, not to be that guy, but, like we got a chance to look at ourselves as a country and a place this year with a lot that's going on, which is big. Like we got a chance to look at ourselves as people. So, it was a lot of, like you said, that just honing in and that refining and finding purpose and all that stuff, like that's what this was about. But you were about to ask me, like, what one sneaker I could wear for
you could. Yeah, I'm saying one shoe, day in and day out. I mean, like personally, I'm asking this question. I probably couldn't even answer it myself. Yeah. So, like, if you got to throw out a couple, I totally understand. But if you could pick one, what shoe would that be?
Would it be from a style standpoint, or are we saying comfort?
Only style. I know there's a difference. But style only. Like, imagine if they like fit like a free run. You know what I mean? Or like they were light, or like something very comfortable. But just stylistic wise, what's that one shoe you pick?
I mean, style wise, if we're saying for me, like it's definitely two shoes. My favorite silhouette or my favorite signature line of any athlete. It's not Kobe. God rest him. Like, it ain't Kobe. I'm not a Bron. I have a lot. Listen, I got about 700 pairs of shoes now.
Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy. 700 pairs.
I'm not taking a shot at nobody. God rest Kobe for sure. Got a lot of Kobe's. Got a lot of Brons. Got a lot of Jordans. Have a decent amount of pennies. Decent amount of KDs, decent amount of Kyries, decent amount of shit ton of Iversons. We know that.
Yeah. Yep.
But if we were saying my favorite signature athlete line of shoes It goes with Andre Agassi.
Damn, that's what's up, really.
Signature. My favorite silhouette is the Air Max 1. And if you said any shoe I could wear, I'm an Air Max guy. Dope. All right, let me do about five shoes. If you said any shoe, and I hate to say be heavy in Nike right now, but that's probably where my mind's gonna float. I could wear 5s all the time.
Okay.
I could wear Jordan 7s all the time. I could wear Jordan 3s all the time in perfect shoes in any occasion. And then the last two would be either Air Tech Challenge 2s or Air Max 1s. And if you gave me those 5 shoes and said, yo, you had to rock these, I love the Hot Lava Tech Challenge 2s is one of my favorite shoes of all time. And it's one of the best shoes in my opinion. If you said one colorway, pure model, I wish they came out with a few more dope colorways. Like there's a bunch of dope colorways in the Tech Challenge shoe, but if I compare them to like 7s, 5s, or 3s, like yo, there's hundreds of fly colorways. Same thing with Air Maxes. Like Air Max 1s, there's thousands of dope colorways. So if you said I had to wear one shoe, I'd probably say Air Max 1 because there's so many things to pick from, so many things. Same thing with 3s. Like there's a lot of dope 3s. There were a lot of dope 3s.
This is my favorite right here.
Crazy.
The craziest pair I've ever owned to this day, by far.
Insane. Like, and then from a comfort standpoint, like, that was back when, in my opinion, some of the Jordans still ran a little bit bigger. So if you got your natural size in that, you're going to be cozy in that, like, regardless. A 3 or a 4, a little bit big, no matter what it is, like, but it's still good. It fits snug, but it's super soft, super supple, super chill. Like 3s and 4s, always love them for that. 5s, I've been good for in the past. I've had mixed reviews from different people lately about 5s. I do like 6s, but 7s, as far as comfort-wise, too, 7s may be one of my favorite Jordans comfort-wise because that Huarache tech in there is just crazy.
Super crazy. And I think it doesn't get spoken enough, but the bottoms of the 7s is the dopest of any bottom in maybe the entire shoe game, especially for retro Jordans.
Yeah. Like, that's one of the things that I gotta say I appreciate about Jordan brand, and not to say other people don't do it, because you see it with Kyrie's and stuff with different details, but like that, a lot of them focus on performance, where Jordan would put the stars around the edge of the 1s on the outsole and all that stuff, where you sit there and look at the 10s and he's got the written message on both of them about him coming back. You sit there and look at the soles on the 7s. You sit there and look at different stuff. The 23s, if I'm not mistaken, are his thumbprint. Is on.
Yeah, they are.
So there's so much detail in so many of the shoes of little things like that. And it's crazy, nobody really even focuses on soles like that. So many people focus on different aspects of the shoes. He's focusing on the outsole. Or the designer, whether it was Tinker or, a lot of the different people out there were focused on that aspect to tell the other parts of the story of the shoe, which I always thought was crazy.
That's awesome. All right, man, before we wrap this up, I'm stealing this little segment from Ben Baller's podcast, but he asked the guest to ask me a question. So if you have any question for me, I'm all ears, and I'm open to anything.
All right. So, we talked about, the year of refining and all that stuff, and 2020 being that, man. How are you feeling this year, and where are you looking to take things, man? Because I've since we've been introduced and all that stuff, and since I've seen a lot of different stuff, and I love the directions it's going in. So how are things on your end? How are you looking to take things? What's next? What's the big plan? A lot of the stuff, share with the people, man.
Man, I really appreciate that. 2020 has been by far, I've been telling everybody, this has been my most memorable year. So I graduated college in 2019. Moved back to my hometown, a small little town in Northern California called Ukiah. And I moved back to take care of my dad. My dad is sick. And so I moved back, right? And so I was applying for jobs in San Francisco. I was literally on my 3rd interview with this marketing company, they had different positions or different branches within I was hiring for. That same week I was supposed to have my third interview. That's when COVID, like the entire country shut down, right? And so it was really like this like crazy period of almost like felt like a missed opportunity. Like I wish if I would have hopped on it earlier, maybe I would have had that job, right? And so then it was a lot of time of just being in my house, which is never been what I've been about. Like I'm always like a mobile person. I love being out and doing creative things, like being with homies and friends and just connecting with people. That's what I love more than anything, and just being with people and like connecting and on different levels and storytelling, sharing stories and all that, right? And so fast forward, like up until like about a couple months ago, my homie and I decided to go really hard on like the vintage and like the thrifting, right? And so I just been working like super hard towards that, where we like got our clothes from concert tees, Harley tees, flannels, denim jackets. We got them all in this boutique in town now, so we're selling stuff through there. And I'm just really excited to have this kind of like, I love problem solving. To me, problem solving is like the highest level of like intelligence, is your ability to problem solve. And so being like, I'm not going to call myself like an entrepreneur quite yet, because it's like, that would be selling like entrepreneur short, but I'm like, you know, I'm working towards that. And creating this brand and creating an image is something that is so valuable to me, of taking a passion for fashion, which used to be like a hashtag I use all the time, and just and taking it to the next level. And especially in my own small town, there's not a boutique, there's no men's clothing shopping, like there's no but there's like probably like 10 women's places, you know. And so to provide this, like, to me, a missed opportunity in the market with, and this isn't something I plan on doing to have forever, but to have something in my community that I can be proud of, and to present something that I think other people can get behind, is super motivating for me. And as far as myself and where I see myself going, I would really like to be in San Francisco and speaking on the sneaker and fashion culture in San Francisco, because I think it's underutilized. I see New York getting a lot. I see New York should always get its praises, because so much fashion comes from New York. LA is LA, and because of the celebrity power, there's always going to be fashion. But San Francisco really, really does have this like dopeness to it that really doesn't get spoken on enough. And in my life, like I really like, that's my goal. I'm a Northern California dude. I would really love to get to San Francisco and speak on that culture, and have people come into my creative space and talk about it, and share stories, really, because like at the end of the day, I don't think there's anything more interesting than people. And so when people tell stories, I'm all ears, and that's what I would love to do.
That's dope. And it's going to come to fruition, man. Like, ironically, I've been talking to a lot of people about San Fran. Like, it's a lot of opportunity out there. Like, you know, it's a lot of things to connect, you know. And yeah, so that sounds amazing. You know, you're taking the steps already to bring it to fruition, bro. So like, keep lining it up. It's gonna fall in place, man. That's real.
That's love. I really appreciate it, Ricky, and I appreciate the time, man. This is my Sneaker Talk Sunday. I created this when I was sitting in my room in Eugene, Oregon, in college. I'll speak on it again, man. It's a dream interviewing people like you. You're a really dope dude. You're a genuine person, bro. Like, brands appreciate the authenticity that you provide. If people have questions, you're always there on your Instagram. I really suggest everyone and anyone should follow you, man. I really appreciate everything you do, bro.
Now, Dave, it's love. You know, anything you need, bro, I'm here. Let me know.
Yeah, say less, man. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This is my Sneaker Talk Sunday with Ricky Shoebio. I appreciate it. Peace and love, everybody.
Be good.